Good morning, good day. Bonjour, monkers. It's your Archon of Wisdom. The birds are paid actors because we're back outside again. That's right. Spring is coming to the East Coast. Today, I want to talk to you guys about something. So, we're going to talk today about two different people, okay? We're going to talk about two people who probably seem very not related. Like, how are these two people related? But bear with me here. We're going to get somewhere with it, okay? We're going to talk about Jelly Roll, and we're going to talk about Gabbie Hanna. I know, we've talked about Gabriella Hanna, Gabrielle Kroner before. But we're going to go back. We're going to do a little revisiting. Now, the reason we're going to talk about these two people today is because there is an interesting intersection when it comes to what's currently happening now, whatever you guys want to call it, a Christian pivot, a Christian grift, coming to Jesus, born again, I don't know, but that's where the intersection is with these two people. It's going to be religious expression. We're going to talk about it. We're going to have an interesting conversation about religious psychosis. I'm going to outline some things for you about why I feel this way. For background knowledge, when it comes to religious psychosis, I grew up with family members who had some presentation of religious psychosis, and we'll leave it at that. So blah blah blah, my degree, yada yada, but I do have a degree. I did go to college. I am in college. I am a college educated person. I have a background in criminology. That's what my degree is for. I have minor in psychology and sociology, and that is associates and soon to be bachelor's. Hey, but those are my credentials. Before we get into this, I'm not gonna muddy up you guys with posting studies and citations and stuff like that. I'm just gonna go based off of, this is my personal opinion. This is not a diagnosis. This is not a medical standard. This is a conversation between two buddies, you and me, my friend, based on my personal knowledge, based on my personal observations, personal studies, and all the like. So bear with me, hold my hand here, guys. Let's dive right in. So let's start with Jelly Roll. Why are we talking about Jelly Roll? Jelly Roll is a singer, a country rapper, and you guys might have heard him speak at I think it was Golden Globes, or whatever the last award show was. He got up on stage, did a little proselytization, little good old I love Jesus yeehaw. He was also asked about ICE and refused to comment, but we'll get into that. The reason we're talking about him, definitely the religious expression, definitely the stuff that's come out. Again, we're going to go over other stuff that's come out. My number one issue with Jelly Roll, though, previously has always been his wife, Bunny. She has a podcast, and I have heard for a while now, I would say probably at least a year, maybe longer, but at least a year, I've heard of her going after and copyright striking a lot of other creators, a lot of commentary people, a lot of people that have opinions negatively about her and about her husband. So, not a fan of that. I don't love false copyright strikes. You guys know this. So, sorry, had to transition back inside. It's still cold. Oh my god, excuse me. So, the problem with Bunny, Jelly Roll, his wife, the intersection here, they've talked on the podcast before about not being expressly political because of various things. Bunny has said that she has some family trauma, Jelly Roll kind of alluded to the same thing, but opposite, where his family didn't really have a political base. Now, while I think that's very valid, my problem comes in when you are doing expressly political things. So, Jelly Roll has been seen with people like Kristi Noem, Tucker Carlson, and Donald Trump. So, you're doing things that are expressly political. I think he also testified in Congress, I believe, on behalf of narcotics law legislation. So, you're doing expressly political things. This is my problem with anyone that says, I'm not political, but they do expressly political things. You just don't want the heat. You're in the kitchen and you don't want to be hot. Okay? It's not going to work. Whatever you're scared of, it's something that so vastly impacts you that you can't, move freely in politics. So much so that you want to be expressly non-political. But the problem, too, is you're a rap country artist. These are genres. Music in general is expressly political, and I don't think there's an argument where it's not. So, especially the genres of rap, especially the genre of country, those are expressly political genres. They don't have to be political, but they are in general known to be political genres. So you kind of can't have your cake and eat it too. And Jelly Roll should know that. And yes, that is a dig at the weight loss girl, because so, and he's interacting with these political figures in a way that is expressly religious based as well. So, like, the prayer circle with Tucker Carlson, like, come on, I get it. I see the MAGA grift, Something I saw, I was watching D'Angelo Wallace. He has a great video about Jelly Roll that goes way, 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 way more in depth than I could ever get in, 10 minutes. I think he has, a 25-minute video on it, showing the videos and stuff, as well. He mentioned that he dislikes whenever he sees Christians prophesize this quote-unquote Christian victim complex, and I want to draw off of that because I think that's exactly where we need to go with the conversation, because that Christian victim complex is what I believe attracts a lot of these similar eternal victims, or people who are just generally so ingrained and tied to their victimhood of how hard their life was, right? Or how hard their past was. Oh, but real quick, I also saw a video where Jelly Roll was yelling at a bunch of other Christians from his church too, and they were arguing about just general religious doctrine stuff. And that will all tie into it as well, I promise. But moving forward to Gabbie Hanna, I know we've talked, so I'm not going to rehash what's happening with Gabbie Hanna because we have talked about it on the channel before. And also Adam McIntyre has great videos about what's going on with Gabbie Hanna. Evangelina Skov has great videos about what's happening with Gabbie Hanna. So go watch them. They make better long form content than I can make, guys. So, but we're going to talk about Gabbie Hanna. Why the eternal victim, like Gabbie Hanna, like Jelly Roll, is so attracted to religious doctrine, specifically Christian, Catholic doctrine, like Judeo-Christianism, we'll call it, guys, okay? Now, first of all, if I had one thing to say about Gabbie Hanna, aside from stuff that I've already said on this channel, it is that Gabbie Hanna does not understand the concept of acceptance and accountability, and how these two concepts can very much, and it is very much necessary for healing for these concepts to exist on the same playing field, on the same plane at the same time. We have to have acceptance, which is reflection on why things have happened, or reflection on, yes, this thing that happened in this situation was unfair, and then accountability of because of that unfair situation, I reacted this way, and that is my fault because I am in charge of my reaction. In fact, that is the only thing we are in charge of, guys, our reactions. So now that we've gotten that concept right, we have to agree that healing is very difficult, okay? Me and you together, us people, empathetic people, can agree. Healing in any sense of the word can be extremely difficult. And it is a path that you have to buckle down and really put yourself on. Because if you're not ready for healing, you're not going to achieve healing, Furthermore, because healing is hard, because things like accountability and acceptance are difficult concepts to put into practice, not so much to rationalize, but to put into practice, it is often much easier for us to find scapegoats naturally. And a lot of times what I believe happens, again, all my opinion, but what I believe happens with these people is it's much easier for them to say, well, God put me on that path, and therefore I needed to proceed in the way that I proceeded in order to grow closer to God and become my new self. That is a much easier pill to swallow than life is just unfair, and sometimes bad things happen to good people, good things happen to bad people. That is a much harder pill to swallow. The reality of the world is much harder to swallow. And again, based on personal experience, what I believe happens a lot of times with a religious psychosis is there is a very fragile sense of their reality around them. And when you challenge that, or when you imply or try to say something that kind of takes that, diminishes that in their mind, it completely shatters their inner reality, and they're not able to cope or continue on or process that information properly. They just go back to this default, but God, right? Now, Gabbie Hanna has spoken about churches not wanting to work with her, right? Expressly because of things that she has put out in the past. Now, while I would love to believe that, the world is just against Gabbie Hanna, what I think is actually happening is what we're seeing in those videos of Jelly Roll going against other church members and kind of arguing based on this perspective he has of religious psychosis, which comes with this kind of overzealotism for God. Because Gabbie Hanna has spoken specifically about, I can't remember, I think I saw this video of her on her TikTok talking about how she was, or it might have been on the podcast, where she talked about beefing with her, it's not pastor, priest, her parish priest. She said she was beefing with her parish priest because she was expressing needing guidance on hearing God's word and talking to God and expressly hearing God speak to her, and he was not accepting of that, and was kind of pushing for her to understand that most people don't have that overzealous relationship with God. Most people don't have that connection with God, in his opinion. And that's usually reserved for saints and miracles and things like that. And she was very, very turned off by that, very unaccepting of being told that her religious expression and her way of religion was wrong. And I think this is something naturally that happens. One, it is good in a way that churches do have some resistance to this kind of religious psychosis behavior, because we don't want to foster an environment where we welcome branching religious psychosis and things like that that can be harmful to real people, can actually harm real people, right? However, I do understand that religion to some degree is about your own self-expression and how you express religion and your personal relationship with God. However, you know, when it comes to Catholic churches, just go to a different church, I guess, girl. You know, it all depends on what you think is the proper doctrine. Some Christians believe you have to go to church. Some Christians don't believe you have to go to church. I'm not here to be that involved in what kind of Christian Gabbie Hanna is. But what I do know is religious psychosis when I see one. And I think that is the real reason why churches do not want to work with her. Because she has expressly expressed in public having these psychotic breaks, having these psychotic moments. Whether she wants to waffle on whether she's in psychosis or not doesn't really matter to me. Because if you're in active psychosis, you can't make that call. So, you know, but I think that's why churches do not want to work with Gabbie Hanna. Churches that people like Jelly Roll are involved in are probably way more accepting and dynamic in that sense. And that's a broader conversation about when a religion becomes a cult, you know, and where that intersection, where that crossover is, because it's a vastly moving line based on, you know, studying religion, I guess, to some degree so far. But that's a different conversation for a different video, guys. I just want to draw parallels here that we are seeing a lot of religious psychosis in our media. We are seeing it being fostered because of MAGA connections. I'm not saying Gabbie Hanna has MAGA connections, but I am saying that Jelly Roll definitely does. And again, that is my opinion based on people that he has been seen with. But that is just my opinion, guys. You guys let me know, comment down below, subscribe, like, do all that good jazz. But comment down below, let me know what you guys think. What's your personal, story? Have you interacted with someone who's been in religious psychosis before? Yeah, let me know, guys. That's gonna be it for today. I love you so very much. Be kind to animals. Drink your water. That's it. I love you. Bye.